My next guest trains out of Fusion Xcel and Killcliff FC in Florida. And on September 15th, he'll be featured in the co-main event for CFFC 125 when he takes on Nick Meck. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. JP St. Louis on my show. JP, welcome, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on the program, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
JP, one of the things I notice about you, one of the things that make you really unique is you are a veteran of the fight game. I think that is so critically important for me, for all the young fighters that are watching the show. It's my duty to extract knowledge from your brain and put it out there on the internet for all these other youngsters to see. And I wanted to ask you, you've been through winning streaks, you've been through losing streaks, you have fought on big cards before, you're going to be fighting on another big card here in a few weeks. So there's a lot of highs and lows that you've experienced over the course of a decade plus in this game. Can you tell me what does it take to fight at your level for a prolonged amount of time? How do you manage the highs and lows of the fight game?
Honestly, I think it just there's a sense of just like resolve, determination. There's the way I look at MMA is like a puzzle in a sense, and it's hard sometimes. You try to put all the pieces and you think you got it together, and you realize that you don't, and you come up short. But with this, it's I made a promise to myself to try to go as far as I can go, develop as much as I can as a fighter. And it's kind of just like a Kobe quote where he said you it's like a non-negotiables, you made a promise to yourself to keep on going at it, and you're going to figure that puzzle out no matter what happens. If I fall flat on my face, I'm going to get back up. I'm going to have my tears. Those are going to dry out, and I'm going to get myself right back in the gym and analyze the mistakes that I've made and keep it moving. And those are the things that I think make you stronger. And I actually I had the luxury of being around some high level fighters when I first got to Rufusport, started as a pro, and was able to, pick their brain. And I was able to see those guys lose and then come back, win in a dominant fashion and on big cards. And even if people didn't think that they were going to be able to, you know, get that win, they were able to shut everybody up. So just being able to learn from example and knowing that I made that promise to myself, and I don't want to make a promise to myself and then fall short on it. So I just stay in, and no matter how tough of a loss I took, I'm gonna get right back on the horse and just keep it moving.
One of the things about the MMA game, it's so much more than just what's in your win column and what's in your L column. You have to be able to market yourself. You have to be able to be a good teammate, be a good student. And I wanted to ask you, can you tell me for a brand new fighter starting out, do you have two or three big pieces of wisdom that you'd impart on any young amateur fighter that's maybe looking at to fight at your level one day?
I'd say first thing, be a great training partner. And that's something that I always believed in is what can get you far, because it may not be your time at that moment, but you stick by those guys that have those skills. They're going to push you. They're going to show you the way, take you under their wing. They're going to beat you up a lot, but you keep grinding. You want to be as best of a training partner as you can for everybody. And with that, I think comes a level of selflessness where there's been countless times where I've gone to the gym only because I wanted to be there for another fighter. And I leave with maybe a little bit more knowledge on something, or I pushed myself just a little bit harder. So I always say just being a great training partner, because I always forget names, but just an example, Sergio was Anthony Pettis' training partner. Granted, he had other training partners, but he moved up. There's a guy, Christian Rodriguez in the UFC now. I watched him. He was at Rufusport before I even got there. Training partner for Sergio. Rafion Stotts, and now he's in his position. It goes on. I mean, I wish I remembered Muhammad Ali's training partner, but he ended up getting big. And it sucks because it's like I watch so much of this stuff, but I've always been bad with names and remembering right on the spot. But it's just one of those things where, I mean, Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz, it if you train with that high level long enough, you are going to get something out of it. You may not see it right then and there because it takes a while. It takes a little bit for that confidence to build. It takes a little bit for everything to start clicking. But once it does, you're going to be operating at just a higher level than other people because you've been seeing that upper echelon of mixed martial arts for such a long time that when you get in there, you your body is just going to react. You know what to do because you've been doing it countless times. So I'd say being a great training partner is one of the most important things, and being a gym rat. That mat time, you're never going to get it back, and you can see it with some guys where you might be extremely talented, but that talent is what you always relied on. And when it gets really tough in a fight, you see it's like, oh, they don't actually know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They usually, it's like they're able to be athletic or use that talent, whatever it is, and bulldoze through someone. And when that isn't working, you start to see them crumble. And it's just, it's like they weren't ready. They look strong on the exterior, but on the inside, there was nothing because they didn't have that. They didn't take that mat time seriously. They weren't in the gym pushing it for hours in a day. And not that you have to just be training extremely hard, but it's just being in the gym, you know, practicing your technique. It can just be technical work, shadow boxing, watching practice, showing you a move and then you doing it like immediately drilling it. That's something that I've always done. You show me a move, literally the next 5 seconds, I'm going to try and hit it on you because what better time than now? So I'm going to try that move. And that's something I still do. I started it back when I first got into martial arts and still doing it to this day. And I think that's why I keep evolving as a fighter. I haven't stopped. There hasn't been a slowdown. It's just I am still attacking the gym the same way I did when I first started.
I don't always think that younger fighters are particularly smart about their matchups. You'll see sometimes guys fight a bunch of cupcakes. They make their way to the contender series and then they get crushed by some Russian dude because they just haven't been in that firefight before. Conversely, I'll see these guys that took these crazy ass fights that they had no business taking, and they're like damaged goods before they even have a handful of fights. I'd like to get your reaction on both of those topics there.
um, so the can crushing, I it's in MMA, it doesn't work out the same way with boxing. With boxing, there's a lot of that. Those guys, they can crush a lot of cans, but it's a single skill sport. So no matter what, guys in boxing, they're going to be good at boxing. You cannot go far in boxing without being good, but they build them up. They give them some cans and then they give them a tough journeyman, but in all reality, they should beat. And I think it's like the two sides of one coin, you know. Some of those journeymen, they were once young prospects that took some outrageously tough fights and they were damaged goods before they even got there. So now they're giving them to that next prospect who is coming up and maybe has someone who's looking out for them just a little bit more than maybe they had. And I I feel like I was on the side where I took some tough matchups early and didn't work out in my favor. But the thing is, I didn't let it break me.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely got like depressed situationally and didn't want to come out of my room. But it's just being like I turned it around. I was able to turn it around. Some people aren't able to turn it around. That I don't. Everyone is different, but I luckily did have people looking out for me. And sometimes there were fights where they're like, I don't think that's a good one. It's like, maybe you should skip out on that. And I think that played a big role for me because there are some fights that I was going to take that I should not have taken. And then I've taken some fights where it's like, I don't know about this one, but I was able to win it. But you just have to have people that are in your corner giving you that confidence and kind of telling you to like slow down a little bit. So definitely, I don't like the can crushing in MMA because, like you said, you get to the contenders and you get completely wrecked, or you get to the big show, and you're seeing that a lot now. You know, there's a lot of guys they have 5 fights maybe
Mhm.
contenders, and then they're in the UFC or 7 fights, and it's like you haven't fought anybody really. You haven't been in a fight. It's easy to love this shit
Mhm.
when you haven't had to fight for it for real, for real. And it's I understand that it's great for your confidence to be winning those fights. You think you're hot shit, no one can touch you. But when you like that mat time is important. You don't have the mat time, and say you don't actually have like a very solid skill base that you started with, like a wrestler, that pedigree, a high pedigree of wrestling, or striking. Maybe you're just like a normal athletic guy who is tough. You're not scared to throw your hands and get dirty, but you fought some cans. It's like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling tough. And then you fight someone who's really fought people just as athletic, just as tough as you. Maybe they haven't been as lucky or had as good matchups, so they've got some losses on their record. But when you fight them, it's like, holy shit. And it's like, and that guy is actually closer to the higher level than you are, and shows that there is a difference.
Currently, you're on a 2 bout winning streak. You finished your most recent bouts. Your last opponent, he failed to answer the bell. I was hoping you can kind of give me a brief recap on how you managed to get the victory in your last fight out.
Oh man, shout out to Tyson Jeffries. That guy's tough. That's a guy, if you he's fought a lot of tough people. He had like 28 fights, but that was one of those fights where I was nervous about because I watched him and I was like, he may not look extremely fast, strong, but I'm looking at his fights. I'm like, the fact that he's just going at it with people, there is something about him. He's not scared. He's got good cardio, and he's been in the game for a while. So there's nothing that I'm gonna throw at him that he hasn't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually probably one of the best things that could have happened to me because he pushed me. And granted, I was getting the better of him, hitting him with like everything, punches, kicks, elbows, takedowns, going for submissions. It was from the moment the bell rang, 5 seconds in, we were going at it because he just walked right in and then shot on me. And that was one of those fights where I just was saying, I refuse to allow you to get anything. I was like, no matter if I'm hit, I'm not looking for any results. It was in my head, I was just thinking, like in a morbid way, it's like, I'm going to drown a man tonight. And it's like, I'm going to drown a man who's not wanting to be drowned. And I'm going to do everything that I have to do to get this job done. And I don't think he's ever not made it to the stool before. And being able to do that to a 28 fight vet, that gave me a big boost of confidence because if when I think about it, I had a fight against Austin Trotman, Derek Brunson's wrestling coach. Fight didn't go my way, decision. I feel like they had said split in there, but who cares? I lost. But annoying stuff is like I got a gash open on my face from my headbutt and made some mistakes that ended up costing me the fight. Went up a weight class to fight him, and I was in that same cage that I fought Tyson Jeffries in like a few months later. But in my head, I was like, never again. And I know people can say that, and the same thing happens, but the fight pissed me off. I'm one of those people where if I lose, I'm a sore loser. I'm extremely competitive, and I was just like, you're not better than me. I lost this fight. You are the better man for this 15 minutes, but the next person that I fight in this cage, I'm gonna kill them. It was one of those fights where it was just like you or me, and I was able to outfight him, outstrike him, outgrapple him, uh, Tyson Jeffries, and eventually was able to just make him not be able to answer that second bell. I mean that third bell. So I was just on some I guess you would say just some savage demonic stuff, just where I wanted to fuck him up. But technically, it's calm and calculated is what I like to call it. Calm, calculated violence.
At what point, JP, do you get notified from CFFC or from your management that you had an opportunity to be featured in the co-main event of CFFC 125?
I'll while I was out with Gerald Mearshart in Boston for his fight August 19th. So I was just out there cornering him. I'd been training really hard because I thought I was going to be fighting a few times before. And manager just hit me up, Steve, and he gave me two names, and I said yes to both, but I said yes to one other person first. That person wasn't interested. And then I got Nick Meck, and I was like, yeah, it's like, let's do it. He's not the first wrestler I fought, you know, I fought quite a few of those, and it was it was easy. I mean, there's always going to be some nerves with every fight, no matter what. I know what he's good at, but I know what the fuck I'm good at. And I'm good at a lot of things. And I think that the one thing I am better than a lot of people is being calm and being very violent.
Nick Meck, he's 6-0. Impressive resume from what I've been able to see so far. Do you feel like people are overlooking you for this fight?
I don't think so. I mean, if they are, then that's dumb. I guess they haven't seen me fight, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I don't read too much on fights before they happen. I'm staying in my own lane, reading what I want to read in terms of just like I'm reading manga, I'm watching anime, I'm watching fight stuff. I know I have a fight. So what do I have to read what people are saying about this fight? Because I plan, if someone is overlooking me, I plan on shutting you the fuck up. And if you were thinking that I'm going to win the fight, I'm going to be like, well, of course, you know, I always have that confidence when I'm going into any fight. But yeah, he's got an impressive record, 6-0. I also think that he's been brought up in a manner to where that would happen. And now he's coming up against me. And I've taken a lot of people's oaths. You know, it's not the first time I fought someone who's undefeated. Undefeated is just a thing. Most people will never go undefeated. And if there's one thing about me, I like spoiling shit. I'm kind of an asshole in that sense where it's like, oh, you're having a good day. Sucks. And not like in a sense of I go down the street and I just want to fuck with people or anything like that, but in a martial arts sense, in a being annoying sense, competitive sense, I find that extremely fun. There's nothing more fun to me than spoiling someone's night. And I've done it enough times to where now it's just another person. I respect the skills always. I think any martial artist who isn't respecting what their opponent can do is doomed to fail. So I acknowledge everything that he's able and capable of doing, but at the end of the day, it also doesn't matter because it's my show. It's me in there, not him. It's me implementing what I'm going to do and nothing anyone can do about it, you know?
You took this fight because you look at it, you see something that you like, and you see a lot of different ways that you can win. I'm not going to ask you to get into specifics, but just overall, when you think about your jujitsu, your grappling, your wrestling, your striking, is there like one area in particular where you feel you have a big advantage over your opponent?
Yeah, I think it's striking.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a big advantage in that. And I think also clinching. My clinching is something that I've I pride myself on. I did judo for quite a few years. You get a very strong base, core strength, and I think that goes hand in hand with clinching because I'm comfortable being up close with somebody. I know he wants to get close to me. He's going to want to shoot on me. I know those things. So I know once we're in close, a lot of people have felt, oh, this is where I'm safe. No, it's not. It's one of the, it's like you're not going to be safe there. So I definitely say my clinching. I mean, I think I have a lot of things where I do better than him. Um, but if there was one to say, it'd be clinching.
Sometimes when I think of the young wrestling prospects, I don't want to label him a wrestler, but that's like the attribute about him that stands out a lot to me. So I'll just say, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'll just say that, like, I'm my educated guess looking at him is he comes from like a wrestling pedigree, like wrestling
Mm-hmm.
based skill, in my novice opinion. But sometimes, like when you see young guys like that, you level change or you expend your energy on going for a takedown that's not there, and you're used to getting it, and you've never not gotten a takedown before. You've never gone up against somebody with good takedown defense. That's one of the things I look for, because sometimes you'll see that confidence just drain like almost immediately. And then you get tagged, and then you panic. And then what do you do when you panic? You go to what makes you comfortable, and that's going for a takedown that everyone and their brother sees. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
wondering, is that something that you kind of visualize when you look at this fight here? That'll play out here in 10 days.
Oh yeah. I mean, I fought a few wrestlers, and I've stuffed a lot of takedowns. Austin Trotman, he was a Division 1 All-American, and I stuffed a few of his takedowns too. And some of them,
You
the only
also fought
reason,
one of my friends too,
ooh,
Huck Body.
oh shit, yeah, that was way back. Yeah, he was a wrestler too, college wrestler, and stuffed his takedown. And that's the thing. It's like, when I first started training at Rufus Sport, we had Ben Askren. A lot of wrestlers go through there. Also, guys like Mike Biggie Rhodes, known more for his striking, but good grappler, good wrestler. Gerald Mearshart, he's actually
Heard of
right,
him.
right up there. I'm at his house right now. He's been pretty much like my coach since I started at Rufusport, like 2015. Great grappling. He shot on me many times. Guys like Jordan Newman, old training partner of mine, undefeated in Bellator 185er. And then you got guys like Bubba Scheffel, Angelo Trevino at Fusion Xcel, Julian Williams, the head coach, and at Killcliff, guys like Fozzy, um, Tyler Ray, all like all these guys where I'm people are shooting on me. It's not anything new. And if I get taken down, I can get back up. And if I get taken down, now you also have to worry about the fact that I might submit you right off my back. I have a lot of submissions. That is something that people know. They're gonna look it up. They're gonna see it. It's like, okay, I have to worry about being choked the fuck out. This isn't something that I can just ignore. And then it's like I have to worry about getting hit on my feet. I have to worry about if I shoot in on a takedown, he could submit me. I also have to worry about the fact that I might not even get the takedown, and then he's gonna start kneeing and elbowing me. And it's just a whole combination of things where people do have to worry about because I have pride myself on being a true mixed martial artist.
A win over Nick Meck, where do you think that like puts you in terms of like what's next? That would be a huge statement victory for you, and that would get a lot of people talking, and presumably an even bigger fight, or maybe even a call up to the UFC. Do you have kind of like a rough idea with the win over Nick what you want to do for the rest of the year?
Um, I beat Nick. I honestly I don't know. That would put me at 10-5, all finishes. So I would think that there's maybe a call up, but the thing that I focus on the most is just, perfecting my craft, whooping people's asses, and eventually something will happen. I mean, there is a possibility of a call up, but you never know with this game. You never know. It's like you think that it could be your chance, and it's not. Something happens, whatever it is. So I'm really just focused on getting that dub, and people are gonna see it. No matter what, someone's gonna see it. People are gonna see it. So I kind of just let the hard work do the talking, let my fighting do the talking. I mean, I'm gonna talk after and all that. I always got something to say, but I'm just gonna go in there and get the job done and then see what's next for me. If I have to call somebody out, I have to call somebody out. But it'd be cool to fight for a CFFC belt or any of the bigger regional organization titles. But at the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen. And just like maybe there's something where the big leagues are like, we weren't, it's like we weren't impressed. You never know why. It's like you never know. But I would assume I'd be on some radars because it's not like I haven't been on radars before and I haven't been talked about in some fashion. So it's like it could be it, but I'm not really trying to think too much because, September 15th is going to be the most important date. That's the most important fight until after.
JP, when I looked up the fight, I noticed that you'll be fighting at 175-pound catch weight. Moving forward, do you have like, I look at you and I look at your body type. I'm like, this guy could go 185. This guy could probably also hit 70. Do you have like a preferred weight class in mind moving forward?
Definitely 170. There's a lot of huge guys at 185. And I've spent past few years fighting at 185. Um, and they're big, like they're strong, and you can feel it. Um, I think skills always plays a big role, but like you said, I am big enough and I have like the body frame, I have the strength to fight at those upper weight classes. But there's some big boys that drop a lot of weight to make 185, whereas me making 185 is a lot easier. I don't struggle much. So 170, I mean, that's where I had a lot of fights. I just wasn't feeling like cutting that weight just for the opportunities. It's just like, I don't feel like making 170 for this. But since I've been at 185 for a little bit, wanted to just get a cash at 175, start easing back down. And then next fight will be at 170. And I think that's where definitely will make my statements.
Well, if we're jumping the gun here and we can't talk about it too much, that's perfectly okay. But I'm asking you this question because the CFFC welterweight champion, he just got called up into the UFC. So presumably the welterweight title for CFFC is vacant.
Oh yeah, Charles Radke, right?
Yes, sir.
That's a homie of mine.
He's no longer with the promotion. So presumably it's up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
would
just
be a
saying.
nice little piece of hardware to get. It
Hey,
is up for grabs.
so that's just something to think about. We'll have to tune in and we'll have to tune into your fight here in 10 days and hear your words after the fight. But in any event, I really appreciated your time. One final question. One final question.
Mhm.
Simply this. When I do my homework on all the fighters that come on, what do? I go on Fight Pass. I go back into the time capsule. I watch your fights from LFA from a few years back. Tell me, what is it that I'm about to see at CFFC 125 versus the old film from you that exists in your LFA run? What am I going to notice?
You're gonna see exactly why I'm called too much. You know, I mean, I've had some great performances, but putting it all together and just being a wiser fighter, you're gonna see a more calculated, methodical, violent man, and the confidence is there as well. And I plan on just putting my hands on him and we're gonna fight. He's gonna put his hands on me. He's gonna try to do whatever he can do, but it's just one of those things where I've been in this for a minute and I have a goal. So you're gonna see a lot more mature and violent me.
Well, JP, I appreciate your time, sir. I know that you have a lot of people that work with you behind the scenes to make your fighting career a possibility. So if there's any coaches, teammates, or sponsors that you need to thank before we conclude tonight, let's knock it out.
Yeah, first, shout out to team at Fusion Xcel, Julian Williams, and then shout out to Killcliff. Um, big thing, shout out to everyone that's kind of just reminded me, like, have fun. You don't have to be as serious, which I've been remembering. It's like having more fun with this. That's one of the most important things, and that's what's changed. So I also think that's like you'll see me just enjoying myself more. And when you're having fun, you're able to do a lot more. And in terms of sponsors, I'd like to shout out Nah Dude Podcast, Athlete Recovery Room. Um, those are my two sponsors. Yeah. And then shout out to, my training partner, Gerald Mearshart, training partner, coach, teammate, all of it. Just always been helping me and has really played a big role in the martial artist that I've become and who I will become as well.
Well, JP, I really appreciate your time. And for those of you that are watching at home, make sure you tune in to CFFC 125 that happens on September 15th, where my man here will be featured in the co-main event. He's promising violence. I'm pretty sure he's going to deliver on that. So make sure you tune in and enjoy the show. JP, thank you for being here. And I hope we can do this again very soon, sir.
Thank you for having me. And to everybody that's watching, if you've watched my fights, you know that they're always violent. If you watch me compete, it's always aggressive. So it's easy to give that promise because I know that's what I always do anyway. I hope you guys enjoy that fight.